Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me for day 5 of the Decree 123 challenge. And I called it a challenge because keeping up with yourself and what you decide to do can be so difficult in times like this. But I want to say, yay, you did it. Even if you just joined in for day 5. My name is Taylor Bell, and I am super excited to dive into concluding the journey and to really spend some time digging deep in the power of our faith, because that is the meditative theme for today. So if you don't know, we've been journeying for 5 days, and all of the videos are available. I am going to be placing them on my YouTube channel as well, so that they will be available there under a playlist. Anytime you need to revisit this, anytime you feel as though your voice is being recalibrated for something new, you feel your authority shifting, you feel as though you are moving in a different assignment or entering into different relationships, you will be able to reference this experience there. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm excited because faith is a huge part of our lives. Everyone, whether they believe it or not, whether they believe in our God or not, is on some sort of faith journey. They really are. And I'm like, what is going on? Okay. What's going on with that piece here? And because of that, we spend so much time moving towards things. We don't always dwell on the concepts and the principles that are at the foundation of the things that we are acting on in our lives with all of our great dreams and goals and visions, right? So we've had a meditative theme each day: grace, peace, truth, wisdom, and now we are at faith. And faith is not something that you need to work up. It's not a aspect of your life that you should be focused on singularly. Like, faith alone is not what I believe God wants us to be compartmentalizing as something that is a solo project. It really aligns itself with everything else that we are doing, because faith is the substance of the things that are in this unseen world. It's like what we're hoping for on display. And we know that that is connected to science, because we know the power of belief, the power of what you believe is true, and what that does in the atmosphere. Science has shown again and again and again different experiments. I remember being in college. I was a junior at Spelman, and I started this Taco Tuesday Talk by Tay. And it was because I was so fascinated by all of these scientific things I was learning that I was like, I need to gather women and make sure that they know how we create, right? This is before I ever launched Create Her and was hosting events. I was gathering women for $2 tacos. And one of the things that we spent a lot of time digging into was the power of our spoken words. And I found some research that had shown a scientist speaking to water and freezing the water. And one portion of the water, and I'm going to say this quickly so I can get back to my notes, because there's a full page again, but one portion of water they spoke positively to. And you know, our bodies are made up of like, what, 80% water, something like that. You can make that correlation on your own. But they spoke positive things to that pot of water. And then there was another container or pot of water that they spoke negatively to. And then they put both pots in the freezer, or, took them out, put the water in a different container and packaged it, and it froze. And the water that they spoke beautifully to came out in these gorgeous snowflakes, just like you would imagine when you see a snowflake. I see lots of snowflakes. I have a toddler and there were lots of winter activities at the library. So I've been seeing snowflakes a lot, which is partially why this is in my conscious. But they were beautiful snowflakes. But the other water that had heard negative words and received that negativity, yeah, you all already know where I'm going with this. It wasn't so nice. It wasn't so pleasant on the eyes. There was no clear imagery of art. There was just like disastrous angles. And another thing that I want to say about that, the same experiment was done with plants. And again, one plant was thriving while the other one was shriveling up. And this has been done over and over and over again, which is why you can't just say that it is the water's belief that is the problem, right? The water's faith in itself. No, it's how power is used. And we know that our words are so important, which leads me to concluding this journey. For our time together, to have spent 5 days decreeing and establishing things, I want you to understand that this was not about an immediate return, although you can have those. I believe in those. This was about what you were planting to sustain, to crystallize into gorgeous snowflakes, and to thrive into beautiful trees. You see what I did there? I brought it all together, right? So when you consider faith, don't look at that as something that's isolated that you're working up. You don't want to just control your words because you understand the power of them and you don't want something to happen. No. This is something you work for good alongside with the facets of your human experience, what you know about your gifts and your talents and your assignments and the relationships you're called to and the places you're called to impact. It comes together, right? So faith is what happens when resistance begins to leave our bodies. So if it's the substance of the things we are hoping for, then you cannot resist what you are hoping for. You see how one kind of cancels out the other, which is why you can't just silo your faith life. It has to be actively working in different areas of your life. Because right now, what I'm trying to say very nicely is your faith may not be activated towards much. I don't know what you're hoping for. And I don't know how much you're fueling that with your own words and your own beliefs, or if it's just laying dormant, because faith is your permission to move without anxiety. If you're experiencing any anxiety with the climate of the world, with the reality that we are experiencing, you must understand that we do not have to live like that. We can access our faith. It's our permission to move away from that anxiety, to dwell in the things we are hoping for, and to set our nervous systems for the acceleration. This is day 5 where we're sealing and accelerating. But the fuel we're operating in today, our meditative moment, our pause, is faith. I'm going to keep going quickly. Faith is not pushing. It's not pulling. It's not trying to crack the code. It's not trying to figure out the perfect strategy so you have no moral fault. I'm going to leave that alone because we have a lot of mixed new age philosophies. And I'm not saying that these principles are not true. I'm just saying they've already been tried and true and proven through our source of knowledge. So it does matter that we remain in our assignments and in the right relationships, and that we are not operating where we are falling below the mark in the personal assignments and in the personal words and obedience that God is guiding us to live in. It's not about feeling bad. It's about wanting to show up for an audience of one. And this part right here is for anybody who has been challenged around what it means to perform and show up. Just obey. When God gave me decree 1, 2, 3, I just moved on it. I didn't do a lot of promotion. I may have shared it 2, 3 times to the few thousands of people that I have following me. I didn't even reach out to my email list because it wasn't about the numbers. It was about me moving in obedience, because tomorrow is my birthday and this is my gift to God. I'm giving him 123 decrees. He brought me here on 1, 2, 3. This is a gift to myself, but this is my love offering to the Father. And as you move in obedience, every aspect of your obedience should be a love offering to the God that you are believing has authored and will finish your faith. That's what the book says. He is the author and the finisher of our faith. He knows how he wants us to grow and expand so that we have greater influence over every dimension of our world. Faith is agreement, trust in what is already established, what's already planted, what's already rooted in your belief, and movement without internal friction. What you really believe is the life you're actually going to live. It doesn't matter how well you perform in this physical world and the achievements of the world. What you really believe is going to determine where you live. And it's not solely because you want to hear well done. That should be a huge thing. That's important to me too. But it's because this is where your livelihood gets to be sustained. And I don't want to just live. I want to be alive every day. And I want to be present. I was present for about 8 tantrums my daughter had because she is in such a leap curve developmentally. She's in that 33 to 36 month leap. And her brain is growing. She's accelerating. She's verbally advanced. She speaks at these levels 5, 6, 7 in some conversations. I've been documenting all of this. If you all don't know, I have studied education, Master's of Science in Instructional Design and Technology, working on a doctorate. Okay, so I am a bit of a nerd when it comes to this, but it gave me the opportunity to be present. I don't see this season as being a stay-at-home mom. I don't even like using that language. It's nothing wrong with the title, but it can't define me. This is my obedience. So being there present to help regulate her so she can stay in her genius early on versus being conditioned is something that I'm willing to sacrifice. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not just talking about my natural daughter here. I'm talking about all those spiritual things that you have inside of you, all those assignments and dreams and goals. Move on them, nurture them, be present with the woes of them, the tantrums that you experience emotionally on their behalf as they are birthing, as they are coming out, because it's not about you having a vision for your return. You have no idea what your legacy is. I remember hearing Oprah say that Maya Angelou told her that you have no idea what your legacy is. And I get that so clearly now in this season. You have no idea. You just keep working the gifts. Keep being who you are. Stop trying to put God in a box and the power of your gifting and who you are in a box. But when you move in faith, when you're in this realm of building with the substance of the unseen and what you're hoping for, you see where your power is? This is why you should be anxious for nothing. You see? Super deep here, right? So let's keep going with a full summary and then we're going to seal this, okay? So on day 1, because now I hope you all understand that faith is the engine of our acceleration. We didn't just have a 5-day journey, not for it to build together. I'm an instructional designer by trade. I'm always going to build something. But this was strategic for your own words to build a world for you in your inner world, in your mindset, in your neural pathways. Okay? So faith is the engine of our acceleration. And on day 1, we moved in the meditation of grace, right? Where we gave access for ourselves to move in identity and have an understanding of our authority. Day 2, we were governed by peace. We started with peace and then begin to speak about our voice and the power of our authentic selves. Day 3, it was truth that we were grounded in. And we received freedom, and we talked about being aligned. Being in a season where we were aligned with relationships and aligned with our assignments. Day 4 was wisdom. We moved in the spirit of that. We settled and meditated on that to help us structure what provision actually looks like as we move in who we are Not just who we're called to be, who we are today. Not just what all the assignments look like on paper, but who we are in our embodiment. There's provision set for you simply by being you. It has nothing to do with which systems you decide to be a part of. All right, in day 5, faith is releasing our flow. I believe we're going to leave this experience, no matter what day, what time, what year you are journeying. You're going to leave this experience because there's no distance with these words. They live on. They're true. You're processing. You're present. I believe we're going to flow higher in the dimension that we belong. Many people have just been too low for too long, too low frequency for so long. And it's greater than regulating your nervous system. It's saying yes to your spiritual assignment. Remember we talked about that provision yesterday? Deep teaching, all right? So we're going to seal this in faith. Let's just believe right now for something you're hoping for, something big. Just believe it. What is it? Believe for something for a second. Hold it in your heart and just breathe that thing in. It could be multiple things. Just keep breathing it in. And then just exhaling any anxiety associated with it. Y'all ready? So we are sealing this in faith. And sealing is when you stop checking if it's working. You just close it up. You know it works because you were able to open it up. We did what we did with the decrees. We're going to seal it today. It's done. Our faith is already exercised in this particular scenario, challenge, journey, whatever you're referencing this as for you. And when you seal something, you move because you're in alignment with the fact that everything you spoke, you already know to be true. You're not performing. You're not doing this with secret doubt. You're not doing this with worry. You're doing this with the mindset that I have the ability to establish things with my words. So it is what it is. I believe these words are going to work for what they are called to steward. All right? Faith is sealed in your perception when you stop asking for a sign and just become one yourself. This is not even about what we can put on paper. This is about who we can be for ourselves. The more regulated you are physically is beautiful, but the more trust and belief you have in your positioning with the God that you serve just brings you an insurmountable return of joy and comfort and peace and trust, all the meditative themes and wisdom with the obedience of how to steward, right? So these final decrees are not to convince God or you. They are to align your movement with what is already established. Let's seal it by faith. Release in flow. And then I put thank you, Jesus, at the bottom. Y'all ready? This has been a great time. Thank you so much for journeying with me. All right. We're starting at 112. I decree that my faith is settled, not strained. My faith is settled, not strained. There's no tension with my faith. There's no striving with my faith. I believe it. It is what it is. It can't return to me void. I put a praise on it because I know it's already done. Let's stretch there. Let's live outside of the capacity of a strain. Let's no longer do that. Number 113. I decree that I move in trust and not urgency. I move in trust because I believe God, not urgency because of what I see on the exterior. Number 114, I decree that resistance no longer governs my decisions. What I'm afraid of, what I'm fearful of, what has me bound, whatever I feel condemned by, whatever I'm resisting in the truth of how I'm supposed to show up, no longer governs my decisions, okay? 115, I decree that my identity is sealed and no longer questioned. That's going back to day 1. We're closing that out. 116, I decree that my voice flows from peace and authority. That goes back to day 2. 117, I decree that my relationships reflect truth and alignment. That goes back to day 3. 118, I decree that wisdom structures my provision and my pace. I don't move because people think I'm great and they think I should be here and there by now. Listen, they don't know what you're cooking. Let some stuff simmer. This is for an audience of 1, not a performance of where people think you need to be. You'll learn how to assimilate if you keep being where people think you should be. Be where God wants you to be. Be obedient. 119. I decree that I am released from striving and over-functioning. Going back to yesterday, most people don't even live in the realm of true provision. They're living in the realm of what their works were able to do. 120. I decree that momentum increases as trust deepens. Your focus, your ability to have range in the fullness of the different dimensions of your gifts and the different assignments. It stems from you having that foundational belief that your momentum is going to increase as God expands your capacity, not as you hustle your way there. You got to trust that. Trust deepens. Roots go deeper. And then when they don't have room, they start to come up and need to be replanted or expanded. 120. I decree that momentum increases as trust deepens. Just going to repeat that one more time. I decree that momentum increases as trust deepens. We trust you, Lord. We believe you, Lord. 121. I decree that my steps are ordered and unforced. When I say obedience, I don't feel like I'm a slave, okay? I pray you come into the mindset where you're not constantly in a position of believing that you aren't worthy and feeling condemned for being behind, that you are living in the realm of conviction where you just know that's the direction you should be moving towards. You just know in your knower because your integrity is set, your restraint is set, your honesty and your truth is real. Number 121. I decree that my steps are ordered and unforced. They're ordered and unforced. I'm not pushing myself there. One more time for that one. I decree that my steps are ordered and unforced. Only thing I'm forcing to pull up is any strongholds that don't belong to me, any roots that don't belong to me. 122. We got 2 left. That's why I'm slowing this down, y'all. I'm getting emotional. It's been a great 5 days. 122. I decree that acceleration unfolds without fear or exhaustion, without being in a state of fear of being depleted. And this also goes back to provision. We got to work our gifts, not just work our strategic connections and the network and the way in which we've built ourselves and positioned ourselves in these institutions. So they have to have this 6-figure return and that return. And this network has to be available, blah, 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 blah. And quid pro quo and, pat yourself on the back and all the things. No, we're not living in a realm of having to be weighed down with different strategies to manipulate and control how we plan on getting there. We get to live in that decree. I decree that acceleration unfolds without fear or exhaustion, because the truth of the matter is some of all that strategy is not divine. It's fear. It's not even wisdom. It's fear. It's utilizing people's wills that weren't even trying to lean in certain directions because they owe you a favor. That's fear. And it brings upon exhaustion. No one wants to carry the weight of knowing that they're distorting anything that's attached to them. You always want everything around you to be its full authentic self, its full authentic connection. And the last one, we're here. Happy birthday to me, even though it's tomorrow. I decree that I move forward in faith, sealed and aligned to accelerate. Woo! This is our acceleration season. We have decreed it. We are established in the truth that we spoke. And not only are we those things, but we also have access to use our own human will and to move in obedience and move in the truth of what we know and our imaginations and dreams and those reoccurring visions and thoughts and all the things that God has for us. Just take the steps, because your steps are ordered. He is the author and the finisher of your faith. He knows what hope you need to go in and out of to have the substance and the environmental spiritual climate to sustain you. I'm pulling you up right now. I'm pulling you higher. That was my assignment. That's what I think I'm called to do, at least in this season, with you. So thank you so much for tuning into these 5 days. Like I said, replays are available on my Facebook currently, but everything's going to be put over and stored in a playlist for any time you need to decree 1, 2, 3. All right? Love you so much. Thank you for trusting me to guide you. I do not take that by accident. I've been on for 4 days and I just was like, God, I'm just going to do it. People can watch the replays when they can. People can have access to this when they're ready. There are going to be people who were following me now on January 22nd, 2026, who may not see this till 2030, 2040, 2050, when they were ready, when it was time for them to intersect with my gifting. So I thank all of you future people I'm speaking from the past now, because you're in real time in the future that I can see, for choosing to trust me as well. All right? And I hope that put fire under some of you all to just go. You don't have to measure. Measuring is great. Fruit is beautiful. But obedience to plant the seeds is what you have to control. He doesn't ask us to grow a tree. He asks us to plant the seeds. And this is a seed. I love you all so much. I appreciate you. If you want to inbox me, you can. Have an incredible day. Bye-bye.